Hey everyone, this is Steve from GamersNexus.net, and this benchmark is looking at Elite Dangerous, which is another space simulator game, and it's a bit different than Star Citizen in scope, but was actually backed by Chris Roberts, who is of course the chairman and CEO of Cloud Imperium Games, the developers behind Star Citizen. So it has their endorsement, and the difference here is that Elite Dangerous is done, it is out, it's complete. And really that's that. It's final. Yes, it's still being iterated upon, but unlike Star Citizen, it is available for play now. Star Citizen is still in development for at least another year, maybe 2 or more. So Elite Dangerous, I already published the benchmark course. If you're interested in that, you can see the course that I took when benchmarking the game and sort of look at the graphics. It looks very good. I played it at 1440 and even 4K when benchmarking, but of course the heart of it is at 1080. So in terms of graphics, there's nothing crazy here. It's not like some of the other recent games where there are all of these new technologies, or NVIDIA or AMD competing technologies. There's not any GameWorks stuff being pushed in Elite Dangerous. It's pretty straightforward in that really the bulk of the graphics are the HUD. And things like space stations do draw on the GPU a bit, but that's because it's just rendering a lot of polygons and not necessarily because of any new FX or special FX. At 1080p, the game plays really on just about anything. I tested it from the 250X scaling up to the 980. The 980 ran it at 160 FPS, which shows you that even on a 3570K, there's really not much of a CPU bottleneck, which that's good news. And the 290X plays it at about 140 FPS, 780 is 113, so all is well in the terms of these cards. It does struggle on a 250X. I would probably not recommend playing it on max settings on a 250X, but you could drop the settings quite a bit. This was run on max, so you could drop them down to low, and you'll be fairly okay on a 250X. I would really recommend upgrading, though, for this instance. Moving on, I ran the benchmark with DSR and VSR, which are Dynamic Super Resolution by NVIDIA, and I believe Virtual Super Resolution by AMD. And the two technologies are very similar in scope in that they simulate a 4K or 1440 or whatever resolution and then filter it down to a 1080 display. So although there's a filtration process, the component of the card that does the scaling for AMD, the scaler component is removed from the graphics pipeline. That means that it is not impacting the frame rate output in this filtration process, so your performance hit will be almost identical to the hit you would find using an actual 1440 or 4K display, despite the extra filtration added in on top of it because it is removed from the pipeline. At 1440p VSR and DSR, the 980 drops down to 100 FPS. You remember it was 160 on 1080. And the 285 drops to 56 FPS, 290X to 85. So it is definitely playable at 1440p with these cards. You would not want to go below a 285 or a 780 for the most part if you're playing at 1440. If you have a higher resolution display, 3K or 4K in that range, the only things I could test with this were the 285 and 980 because AMD's VSR is only available up to 4K on the 285. Everything else is limited to 1800-ish p, which would be 32 by 18. And the 980 is the only one powerful enough to run 4K, so I just didn't even bother testing the others. In this instance, the 980 is sort of slightly playable at 4K, but you're definitely going to hit some spikes that are very noticeable in gameplay, as I did, especially when flying around space stations and getting into really intense combat, so you probably would want something a bit more powerful or a multi-GPU setup. If we're being realistic, that's ultimately what you would need to drive 4K at a consistently playable FPS. So that's all for this benchmark. Please let me know what you think about Elite Dangerous, because I honestly have not had much of a chance to play it. I've just been benchmarking it, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. You can comment below, but the best way to get in touch with us these days is to tweet at us at GamersNexus on Twitter, and I will reply to your tweets if you send them. So please subscribe if you like this content, follow us, both of those help a lot, and I will see you all next time. Have a great holiday. Peace.
Eject.